Hello everyone, it is Wednesday the 12th of April. Welcome back to the D3D4 football podcast dedicated to all things Leagues 1 and 2. It is just me for this one today. With it being the Easter weekend, we've had to move away from our original Sunday schedule we normally do to cover both sets of matches on Friday and Monday. And with each of us having differing commitments over this weekend just gone, it's been a challenge to try and organise us together as a team to meet up and record. We don't want to go without an episode this week, however, especially given the number of very significant results that have happened on both Good Friday and Easter Monday that I think really need to be talked about. So that's why I'm here. This episode is going to be a kind of a one-man recap, if you like, of the Easter period, a big focus on all of the teams in League 1 and League 2 that have something serious left to play for, whether that be automatic promotion, playoffs or relegation. So I might have thought we'd get going. This podcast is in partnership with The Big Step, which tackles football's relationship with gambling. There is an excessive presence of gambling adverts within football, and The Big Step continue to do great work to raise awareness about the dangers of gambling and the impact it can have on so many people's lives. A big thank as well to all our Patron members. Those who sign up for as little as just £1 per month can get access to additional D3D4 daily podcast episodes throughout the week. They are produced by my co-host James Richards, and they focus in depth on individual clubs and provide previews to some of the most eye-catching fixtures in League 1 and League 2 each weekend. You can sign up now for that at patreon.com/D3D4 football. Let's get going with this solo episode, and we'll begin, as always, with the world's best third tier.
League 1.
We're going to start League 1 up at the top with the promotion battle, which is just so open and just so crazy. I mean, if this promotion battle was a racetrack, you'd have to say it would be a winding mountain road. There's just loads of twists and turns, barely any straights that would allow someone to actually pull ahead of the rest. The outsiders in this automatic conversation still remain Barnsley. They are 5 points off second place as it stands with 6 games left to play. They have got a really high standard to keep for all of their remaining matches, and it was only recently as Good Friday that I wondered if this promotion battle had gone from a 4-horse race maybe down to a 3-horse race. That is mainly because on Friday, Barnsley were beaten 2-1 at the Pirelli Stadium against Burton Albion. It was a game that included a terrible call. A blatant handball on the line from John Braithwaite, completely ignored by the referee. You had Barnsley fans, Barnsley staff, Barnsley players, understandably very furious with the decision. There isn't a fan of a football club that wouldn't be if that went against them. The Tykes are the stronger side throughout this game of the Pirelli, but they're punished by 2 moments of quality from the hosts and suffer a 2-1 defeat. You run through that and the other Good Friday results, and you kind of wonder if Barnsley might have just been knocked out of the promotion race. At the same time as that game, Ipswich Town romped to a 4-0 home victory over Wycombe Wanderers. Plymouth Argyle recovered from being a goal down to win 3-1 at Morecambe, all of their goals coming from substitutes. Sheffield Wednesday away at Oxford United, a game live on Sky. They have a first half lead through an outstanding Barry Bannon goal, but end up getting pegged back to 1-1 via a penalty that was, should we say, contentious. Scored eventually by Cameron Brannigan. It's a 4th game in a row against bottom half opposition that Sheffield Wednesday failed to win. Been a real slump since that long unbeaten run came to an end in that thrill against Barnsley just a couple of weeks ago. Fast forward to Monday evening, however, and you have to say that the Tykes are probably not out of this top 2 race just yet. Michael Duff's side respond with a 2-1 home win at Shrewsbury Town. It's an 8th victory in a row at Oakwell. The only blemish to them on the day is a red card for Nicky Cadden. Not ideal for them to have to face 3 games now without their star left wing back. It really is time for someone to go step up, fill those shoes before the month is up. The game ends 10 apiece after a second yellow for Shrewsbury striker Ryan Bowman deep into stoppage time. At the same time as that, only one of the 3 tiers above Barnsley actually pick up an Easter Monday win. That team is Sheffield Wednesday, who cruised to a 3-0 victory at Hillsborough against Accrington Stanley, finally earning a first win in 7 games in the process. Ipswich Town are away at Cheltenham Town. They're playing up against a team that they have never beaten since meeting them in the 3rd tier just last season. Everything's going really well for the Tractor Boys, especially once Colin Chaplin puts them ahead with his 19th league goal of the season. But Cheltenham do get an equaliser in the 84th minute. Now, for a team that came into this game in Ipswich on an 8-match winning run, this was not how I would have expected them to end their run of more than 900 minutes without conceding a goal. It's Christian Walton, their goalkeeper. He just makes a real hash of collecting a ball upfield, and it ends up dropping the way of who else but Alfie May, his 15th goal in League One this season. 2 points dropped for Ipswich and the winning run over, but nonetheless still 13 league games unbeaten and in good nick. The real losers on Easter Monday, though, are Plymouth Argyle. They are beaten 2-0 at home to Lincoln City. It's only the second away team that have won a league game at Home Park this season. And it just had to be Lincoln, didn't it? They are a very odd team this season. They played home and away now against all of this season's current top three. And they've not lost a single one of them. They've got 2 points from their 2 games against Sheffield Wednesday, 4 points from a possible 6 against both Plymouth Argyle and Ipswich Town. As we've talked about before, their home record this season is also weird. It's just strange how Lincoln City are able to do so well against these top-ranked sides, and then generally just be very average when up against the rest. It's a bizarre team, Lincoln, for sure. So, here's how things stand at the top after the Easter weekend. Sheffield Wednesday lead the way currently. They've got 84 points from 41 games. Automatic promotion is currently out of their own hands, though. Second place Plymouth Argyle are a point behind them on 83. Ipswich Town in third, a further point behind them on 82. Both have got game in hand on Sheffield Wednesday as it stands, as do fourth place Barnsley, who have got the most work to do with a current total of 78 from 40. Out of the four in this promotion mix, I'm carrying the most confidence right now in Ipswich Town. Despite dropping points on Monday at Cheltenham Town, it was a typical game for them where they were the dominant side throughout. So they have been all the way across this winning run they've had, this strong and beating run, this run of clean sheets. Have got some tricky tests left, Ipswich. The average league position of their remaining 6 opponents is around about 10th place. It's one of the highest of all the teams in League One this season. But this is a team that I really think can handle that challenge. He's a fine group Kieran McKenna's got there, and I back them to make the most of it before the season is up. We discussed the automatics, so how about the playoff race in League One? Well, there's only one team to start with here. Peterborough United. Perfect Easter. 2 wins from 2. They had a dominant 3-0 victory away at Shrewsbury Town and a 3-1 home win against Exeter City on Easter Monday. Since Darren Ferguson returned through his Thor spell with Peterborough, he's won 11 out of his 17 games. He took control at a point where the playoffs maybe felt a stretch too far for Peterborough. Now you look at Posh and you feel like they really could be fancied when the playoff game actually rolls around in May. Johnson Clark-Harris, who's played up top alongside Kwame Puku in a fourth or two these last 2 games, got a goal in each of the Easter fixtures. It now leaves him on 24 league goals this season. Since he signed for Peterborough United back in 2020, he's got 55 goals in 86 League One appearances. He's just a true goal-scoring machine at this level. Ephraim Mason-Clark, playing off the left, goals in both the Easter games as well, 4 in his last 6. Reminder, he's a player that Peterborough bought from National League Barnet just at the start of the season, and he now looks one of the most frightening forward players anywhere in this division. What a signing he has been. Jack Taylor and Ollie Norburn look so good together in the centre of that Posh midfield. Ipswich and Barnsley among Posh's final 5 opponents. Chance to come into the playoffs on a real high, whilst also potentially impacting the automatic promotion race that is up above them. Ipswich and Barnsley are going to have their work cut out to compete with Posh at the moment. They are flying. 6th as it stands are Bolton Wanderers. They got 4 points from a possible 6 over Easter. So close to being the maximum though. Good Friday was a very impressive 1-0 victory away at Exeter City. On Easter Monday, in front of a really big crowd at the U-Bowl Stadium, they're 1-0 up on Cambridge United through Declan John, hit with the sucker punch of conceding a 95th minute equaliser. Despite that, I do feel quite good about Bolton's playoff chances. The final games are against teams no higher than 11th in the table. 3 of the remaining 6 matches are against sides who are very much in that beach category of having nothing serious left to play for. If they take advantage of those, as well as those games against much weaker relegation battlers, they should get over the line as a playoff side. 7th, level on points with Bolton, but having played a game more, are Derby County. Now, Derby, like Bolton, also got 4 points from a possible 6 over Easter, but added to their previous results, I think you have to feel that Bolton's 4-point return is the more acceptable of the two. Monday is likely to have left Ramslands incredibly frustrated. Good Friday went perfectly. 2-0 win away at Forest Green Rovers, dominant throughout that game. On Easter Monday at Pride Park, though, they held 1-1 with Milton Keynes Dons, despite another dominant display. 2.82 XG generated from Derby, compared to MK Dons' 0.37. They just failed to build on the opener from David McGoldrick, and they're pegged back by Henry Lawrence in the second half. Derby have won just twice since the start of March, both of those games coming away from home against Oxford and Forest Green Rovers. For a playoff-chasing side who could likely need a high points total to finish in the top 6, it's just not enough. They got Bristol Rovers, Exeter City, Burton Albion, Portsmouth and Sheffield Wednesday to wrap up the season, all whilst knowing that the team closest to them have an extra game in hand. They have got work to do if Paul Warne's side are to finish in the playoff places by the end of this season. In terms of the playoff outsiders, Wycombe Wanderers, they're still there. They are still just about in the mix. 3 points across the 2 Easter games. They were heavily beaten 4-0 Ipswich Town on Good Friday. They respond with a good 2-0 home win over Forest Green Rovers on Easter Monday. It's probably a good reflection on how they have actually been under Matt Bloomfield since he succeeded Gareth Ainsworth. They're just a bit too inconsistent with results, I think, to be taken very seriously. But still mathematically within reach, though, for now. Whether they keep that, we'll have to wait and see. The other outsider, Portsmouth, 2 draws over Easter with Milton Keynes Dons and Morecambe. It probably ends their hopes now that was slim anyway. Need to be near enough perfect in the last 5, you would imagine, to have a chance. I do definitely feel encouraged by the progress made under John Mousinho, however. The summer is an interesting one for sure for both them and Wycombe Wanderers under their new bosses. That's the top of League One overviewed, down to the bottom and down to the very bottom where we of course find Forest Green Rovers. 2 defeats over Easter, much closer to what has felt inevitable for ages. There was a chance on Easter Monday that Forest Green could have had their relegation confirmed then. They needed to lose to Wycombe Wanderers and see other results go a certain way. Didn't happen on that occasion, but we are at a probably greater than 99% chance now that that confirmation will come this weekend on the 15th. Forest Green Rovers are 14 points from safety with 5 games to go. They are playing host to promotion-chasing Barnsley on Saturday. Anything other than a win will instantly relegate them back down to League 2. The discussion around them we will leave for this coming Sunday because I am basically certain that we will be reflecting on their season as a whole at the start of that episode this weekend. Forest Green Rovers are gone, and I have to say that I feel pretty sure that Morecambe are going with them. Single point to the Shrimps over Easter on its own, a decent result actually, 0-0 away at Portsmouth. Their winless run is extended now to 10 games, however. Morecambe are 23rd, they're 5 points from safety. The real killer though is that games played column. Derek Adams' side have played 42 matches. Everyone directly above them has got 2 games in hand on them. Even if Morecambe were to pull something out of the bag in their final 4, it might not even end up mattering. First ever relegation is looking very likely now, and I'm pretty worried about their off-field situation at current as well. I really hope things can stabilise the Morecambe Football Club in the summer, because as some of League One's previously relegated sides will be able to tell you, an out-of-shape football club does not stop slipping once it falls into League 2. I really hope this summer can get them back on track. 22nd place as it stands are Cambridge United, and they are a team that right now are making me and a lot of other people go, 4 points over Easter, making it a very impressive 7th on the last 9 available. We covered their 2-0 win at Port Vale in the last episode last week. What they've done is followed that up with a 2-1 home win over Fleetwood Town and a very, very late goal to snatch a 1-1 draw away at Bolton Wanderers. Sam Smith has got goals in each of Cambridge's last 3 matches. James Brophy is being deployed everywhere from right wing to central midfield at the moment. Conor McGrandles is having a great impact at Cambridge's central unit. Just a couple of weeks ago, survival felt a real tall order for the U's, and now there's some belief there. Cambridge's last 6 admittedly do include some tough tests. There's none more so than this coming weekend for them. It's the big one at home to Peterborough United, the local clash. The final 3, however, are against Accrington, Stanley, Burton Albion and Forest Green Rovers. 3 points from safety as it stands. If they are still in the mix by the time that final week of the season rolls around, those final 3 games, I may well be fancying them. This could be on for Cambridge United. Do not write them off yet. I certainly think at the moment, Cambridge are the team in the current bottom 4 I carry the most confidence in. They're a point and a place above as it stands are Accrington Stanley, who got 3 points over Easter. It was a very good Friday for them with a dominant 3-0 home win over Port Vale, a first victory in 7 games, and a match which included a very bizarre opener, one that Jack Stevens is never going to want to see back again. Easter Monday, however, Accrington are comfortably beaten at Hillsborough, and I guess the question now for us is, which one of those 2 3-0s was the real Accrington? I'm inclined to think, to be honest, that it was the latter. Friday's result was an excellent win, of course, but it does certainly feel aided by the opposition, who were just incredibly poor on the day. The 3-0 loss, as well, is a general reflection of a team that's just been very poor for a long time now. I can't help but look at Accrington's next match this weekend at home to Fleetwood Town, mark it as crucial, especially when their 3 after that are up against Peterborough United, Portsmouth and Bolton Wanderers. They've got Cambridge United and Oxford United to wrap up the season, but I do think they need to get some points on the board before those final 2 high-stakes matches roll around. It's still A pretty uncomfortable position for Accrington to be in with these final games of the season approaching. For Oxford United, who are 20th, I would imagine their fans are probably going to end the season without any nails left, if there are any nails to lose anyway, with the tension that's been there. 2 draws to Oxford over Easter against Sheffield Wednesday and Port Vale. It means they've now drawn each of the last 4 games. And I'm actually quite encouraged looking back on the 4 of them. The first is against Morecambe, where they take the lead in a dominant first half. They're ultimately hit with the sucker punch of a late equaliser to end up drawing. They followed that up with the game at Peterborough, where they restrict one of the league's most devastating attacks to actually just 3 attempts at goal. Against Sheffield Wednesday, again, they restrict the Owls to largely low-quality chances, and then likewise against Port Vale at Vale Park. There is a sense that Liam Manning has certainly improved Oxford defensively, and has had to cope with a bit of a setback as well. He didn't have starting centre-back Elliot Moore available against Port Vale, for instance, so it meant a first start for the young Irish defender Stephen Negru, who had only just joined from Shelbourne in January, his first start for the U's. Still have to carry concerns about the overall lack of potency in that Oxford front line, though, and it is likely to be an uneasy final 6 games as the U's look to keep themselves above the dreaded line. It's Oxford v Accrington on the final day of the season, and that could be a very uncomfortable watch for the 2 teams involved, depending on the situation they are in. It was also a pair of draws to Milton Keynes Dons, who are 19th, both occasions coming from behind to take points against both Portsmouth and Derby County. It stretches the unbeaten run to 6 matches, 4 points clear of the drop zone as it stands. There's definitely been some improvements from MK recently under Mark Jackson. It's certainly not perfect yet, though. The game at Derby County on Easter Monday, for instance, was a really one-sided affair. Hosts were dominant, first half especially. The game with Portsmouth on Good Friday does look like it was also influenced by a first-half red card for Joe Morrell, with Portsmouth winning. I'm pleased that MK Dons have been able to add further positive results onto that recent winning run that they put together. Some breathing space is certainly handy, with those below having a game in hand, though I do think MK Dons have got a nicer looking run in when compared to some of the others down the bottom of the table. I've got some confidence back in MK Dons, which is good because I did not have that previously. Nearly through with League One. Final trio of teams that I want to mention. They're all in the 45-46 point bracket. You've got Burton Albion in 18th on 45. They had a win and a defeat for their Easter period. Things actually look quite healthy for the Brewers, and that is a testament to the work done by Dino Marmia this season. I don't think Burton can be taken fully out of the relegation conversation just yet, though. They have started a very tough run of games in April. Average league position for their remaining matches this season is 10th. It's one of the highest in the entire league. You add to that the fact that they've only played 39 games so far. They've got 7 left to go in the space of 3 weeks. It's going to be matches every few days for the Brewers. No breaks from now until the end of the season. They might feel that come the end. Don't take them out of this just yet. Port Vale in 17th on 46 points. I'd just like one more win from them, just to have a total that probably should be fine for the season. Easter wasn't that great for Vale, just 1 point collected. That 3-0 loss at Accrington Stanley on Good Friday was really poor. It was a very on-the-beach performance from a team that I don't think should actually be on the beach just yet. Easter Monday's 0-0 draw with Oxford United, however, much better, although there was a red card at the end of Dennis Politic. It's not that nice a run in Sport Well either. The final 5 games got an average league position of 8th, one of the hardest in the division. I think one more win and they're fine though. They just need to find those points from somewhere before the season is up. And finally, Cheltenham Town, so close now. Single point over Easter. They're beaten 2-0 at Lincoln. Collect a very good 1-1 draw with Ipswich Town though on Easter Monday. I hope it doesn't get lost how big an achievement Cheltenham staying up this season will be. This is a real underdog at the level, a very small budget compared to a lot of others in the division. They have suffered as well from big setbacks with departures before a ball was even kicked. Remember losing their manager, losing a big influential centre-back in Will Boyle. Wade Elliott and his players really do deserve a lot of credit for how close they are now to staying up against the odds again. They're very close to confirming it, and it will be a magnificent achievement. With regards to the rest of the division, a quick mention to Lincoln City and Bristol Rovers, who both picked up 2 wins from 2 over the Easter weekend. That's League One. Let's drop down and take a look at the world's best 4th tier.
League 2.
League 2, starting off again at the very top of the pile with the team that have been at the summit for almost all of this season, Leyton Orient. They're so close now. So close. Easter weekend, 4 points, a perfectly fine return for the position they're in. Friday was the definite highlight for them. They were away at Salford City. It's a side that have been a problem previously for other top-ranked teams. Salford have really turned their game up against them. But Orient get a brilliant 2-0 victory on the road. 2 great first-half goals. There's a compilation video Orient put themselves of some excellent back post defending from right back Rob Hunt. It really needs to be seen. It's very impressive. That was Richie Wellens' first game back at Salford City since he was originally sacked as Ami's manager, and you can be certain he will have loved that. On Easter Monday, Leyton Orient are 2-0 up at half-time again, this time against Harrogate Town, who are down the bottom of the table. It's a brace the rules. Satiri, who adds on to the goal. He already scored at Salford. He's been leading the line recently. The game ends 2-2, however, with Harrogate getting a quick thigh double in the second half. Wellens called it a dampener post-game. You do get why, but as we've said before, Orient are in a position where they can afford to have these kind of results. It's not going to hurt them too much. Their unbeaten run now stretched to 12 games. It's an equal split between wins and draws. The O's, with 6 games to go, are 8 points clear of second. Most crucially, they are 11 points clear of fourth place, all while still having a game in hand on the 3 immediately below them. I've tried to do the permutations. I don't believe it's possible for them to win promotion this weekend against Sutton United, but there is every chance that their trip to Gillingham on Tuesday the 18th could be the one where their place in League One gets confirmed, and deservedly so. Below Leyton Orient, the automatic promotion race in League 2 is still just absolute carnage. It has felt like all these teams have just been clambering over each other to hold those 2 spots below the leaders. One week you see one team drop points, another goes past them, and then it just feels like the following week it could go back the other way. Second place as it stands is currently Northampton Town, whose Easter weekend I think really reflects just how I feel about this open promotion race below Orient, really. Good Friday is a horror show for the Cobblers. They're beaten 3-0 a Newport County side whose season is near enough done. It was a really shock result, just an awful afternoon for Northampton that was dented further by the loss of just yet more personnel to injury, probably most notably Aaron McGowan, who had to start in the centre of defence and lasted less than 30 minutes before being forced off. For Northampton to go into Easter Monday with their very depleted squad and pick up a 2-1 home win over a confident Gillingham side, I think it's really impressive. It has to be said. Louis Perry with the opener. The winner for Northampton is a stunning goal from midfielder William Hondermark. It's his first for the club. Hondermark played the full 90 here because he was one of the few fit midfielders that Northampton actually had available to use. And I like to think that his brilliant goal, it could be one of those moments that Cobbler fans look back on when the season is up and they realise just how significant a moment that was. Up to 73 points now with that Gillingham win in second place. Now, the 3 teams below Northampton, as it stands, are all separated by just goal difference, all level on 70 points. Third place right now is occupied by Stockport County after a perfect Easter weekend, a 1-0 win away at Sutton United and a 4-0 win at home to Newport County. It's the first time this season that the Hatters are sat inside the automatic promotion places. They're having climbed away up the table since that strong form started for them back in early October. I wonder if Stockport could be about to continue the trend we've seen the last 2 years in League 2, where we've had an early marked promotion favourite that has started very slow, looked well off the pace, but they've been able to recover to secure automatics before the season is actually up. You had Bolton Wanderers do this back in the 2021 season. It was Bristol Rovers back in the 21-22 season. Could it be Stockport County in 22-23? We'll have to see coming up. Right alongside Stockport County are Carlisle United and Stevenage. 4 points from a possible 6 over Easter for Carlisle. They returned to winning ways on Good Friday with a 2-0 home victory against Green Rovers in front of what was the biggest crowd Brunton Park has seen for over 15 years. Massive crowd up there in Cumbria. A brace of Christian Dennis, number 18 and 19 in League 2 this season. The first 3 minutes, the first goal, 3 minutes in, it needs the Benny Hill theme music over it. It is an absolute calamity from a Tranmere Rovers perspective. Awful mistake from Matthias Hovelt in the Tranmere goal. A really good result on Friday though for Carlisle is followed up with a frustrating 0-0 draw away at Walsall, where they spend the final third of the game facing 10 men after Hayden White was sent off for the hosts. Stevenage are on paper in the best position of these 3 teams on 70 points. They've got a game in hand on Stockport and Carlisle, but their form does not look good for a promotion contender. They got 2 1-1 draws over Easter, both against relegation battlers in the former Colchester United and Hartlepool United. Games where Stevenage had one half where they looked very good, and then one half where they just didn't look as good at all. Winless run now extends to 5 games for the Borough. They need to be looking both ways at the moment, because not that far behind them are 3 more sides who are still not yet out of this automatic promotion conversation. 6th place Bradford City are on 68 points. They took a draw and a win over the Easter period extends their unbeaten run to 10 matches. It was a 0-0 draw at Crawley Town, followed up by a very good 3-1 home win over Sutton United, a game in which former Bradford City man Lee Angle put a penalty onto the crossbar for Sutton, and a full of confidence Andy Cook grabbed number 24 in League Two this season. He is absolutely flying. Wingers Scott Banks and Harry Chapman also on the score sheet in a great home win for the Bantams of Valley Parade. So 7th place Salford City. Easter started with a 2-0 defeat at home to league leaders Leyton Orient that we mentioned previously. But their Easter Monday game at AFC Wimbledon was just ridiculous. It was a real 4-5 minute redemption story for Callum Hendry. AFC Wimbledon are 2-1 up in this game heading into stoppage time. Louis Barry wins a penalty to Salford. Hendry's spot kick in the 92nd minute is saved by Wimbledon goalkeeper Nathan Broom, but we're far from done. It's the 94th minute when Hendry gets onto the end of an Ep249 header across that brings Salford City level. And then, very soon after, route one from Salford, ball gets available down the left-hand side, a low ball in from Torre. It falls into the path of Hendry, who's able to swivel and fire into the net for a 3-2 win that I'm sure you will have seen alongside me, left Gary Neville going absolutely mad at his home whilst watching the game. 4 points meanwhile over Easter for 8th place Mansfield Town. It's an excellent 4-2 win, and a Swindon Town side that just completely faded away under Jody Morris. Frustration to be had for Mansfield though with Monday's 1-1 draw against bottom of the league Rochdale, a game in which they dominate but just cannot take advantage of. Couple that with Salford's late win, and it does leave Mansfield outside of the top 7 with 6 games to play, albeit they do have a game in hand on the team directly above them. So that's the promotion race in League 2 as it stands. There's just 5 points at the moment between 3rd place Stockport County and 8th place Mansfield Town. Who do I think is finishing where in this pack? I can't answer because I honestly don't know. It's one of the things I love most about following League 2. It's the mad unpredictability and drama that ends up coming to this race to Automax because there's 3 spots. Sometimes third can go out of sight, sometimes second can get clear, but as we've seen in past seasons, third can go right down to the final day. The great part as well is that we've actually got a number of games between teams in this battle. I've got the list of them here. Carlisle v Northampton comes this weekend. We've got Carlisle v Stockport on the 18th. We've got Mansfield against Stevenage on the 22nd. Mansfield against Leyton Orient is on the 25th. Carlisle against Salford. Leyton Orient v Stockport and Northampton v Bradford is on the 29th. And then there's Bradford City against Leyton Orient on the final day. This could go right down to the wire once again in the 4th tier, and it is just not to be missed. There's one more team left to mention, I think, up at the top of League 2. That is Barrow, who are on 61 points. They're still there just about when it comes to this playoff conversation. Easter could have gone better overall. 3-0 loss at Crewe Alexandra on Good Friday was really not ideal, but Barrow did bounce back superbly with an utterly dominant 4-0 win over Crawley Town at Holker Street. It was a hat-trick on the day for Josh Gordon. He's up to 15 league goals now and is continuing what is just the clear best season of his senior career. As Pete Wild's team have shown this season, Barrow actually can compete and beat some of the league's strongest sides, so I'm not counting them out of this top 7 race just yet. Barrow's final 5, they're away at Swindon Town, away at Grimsby Town, at home to Carlisle United, away at Hartlepool United, and at home to Stevenage. They've got a chance to impact both ends of the table alongside their own campaign fortunes before the season is up. And if they end up where they are, I really can't stress how big an improvement that is under Pete Wild. This is a team that's been battling relegation the last 2 years, and to find themselves looking at the opposite end of the table throughout the season is really testament to how well Wild's done in his first season up at Holker Street. One more section to go in League 2, the bottom of the table, which in truth is just as chaotic as the top. There is actually nothing set in stone yet with the relegation battle, and that actually feels quite unbelievable to say, because the fact is, bottom of the league Rochdale aren't dead and buried yet. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Rochdale seemingly hit truly rock bottom, being beaten 2-0 at Crawley Town, Jim Bentley being relieved of his duties as manager, stalwart defender Jim McNulty was brought into a caretaker role until the end of the season, and a previously doomed-looking Rochdale might actually have some hope still. They've taken 7 points from McNulty's 3 games so far. We discussed their 1-0 win at AFC Wimbledon in our previous episode. Dale went and followed that up with a brilliant 4-2 win at Scotland. It was a game that admittedly wasn't without controversy, probably most notably the awarding of Rochdale's 4th goal for Ethan Brearley. You could quite clearly see from the replays that the ball has not gone over the line, yet it is given as a goal. much to the complete disbelief of Walsall goalkeeper Owen Evans. It's a real howler of a moment from the officials on a weekend when, let's be honest, the officials had quite a few of them across League 1 and League 2. Rochdale pick up the win nonetheless, and they followed that up with a 1-1 draw at top 7 chasing Mansfield Town. You've got to say, it's a smash and grab result from the visitors at Field Mill. Rochdale score a late first half equaliser with Owen Dodgson. It's their only shot on target in the game. There's then an excellent display from goalkeeper Richard O'Donnell, and that's a big reason why they take a point home from Nottinghamshire on the day. I really have to tip my hat to Jim McNulty for the fight that he's reinstalled into a Rochdale team that just looked dead and buried. His setup, it's a very simple 4-4-2. He's got a midfield pair of Liam Kelly and Ethan Brearley. The latter has been known as such a great prospect for a while now, still just 19 years old, and with this run of starts he's been getting, he's really starting to show exactly what he's about. Danny Lloyd's been playing off the right. He's a man who can just produce these moments of real quality. He's got goals in all 3 of Rochdale's most recent wins. Toby Malarkey, who was marked as a really good signing when he joined from National Ulster, he'd really excelled in the division below. He doesn't even start at the moment. McNulty's preferring Max Taylor and Ethan Ebanks-Landell as his centre-back partnership. And you've got to say, it is doing the job right now. The Dales still have a massive uphill task ahead of them. They're 6 points from safety, 5 games to go. But there's belief back in Rochdale. And that is something I did not expect to see with this little of the season left. They're still battling despite all the odds being against them. And well done to McNulty for that. That same amount of battle cannot be found, however, in the team that are with Rochdale in the relegation zone right now, and that is Crawley Town. I remember we asked recently if Crawley Town were able to build on that run of points they'd put together against favourable opponents. They haven't. Easter saw them collect a single point from 2 games, a 0-0 draw at home to Bradford City. Then they head up to Barrow and they're smashed 4-0 by the Bluebirds. It's the second time in 3 games that Crawley have gone and conceded 4. 2 consecutive away games where they've gone and been beaten heavily on the road. Couple all this with the upturning results of others around them, and it's looking like a dire situation for the Red Devils. And as others are well documented, it's all on Wagme United. It's been a disaster of a season for Crawley after so much hope pre-season, so much belief they could be up the other end. Wagme's methods just truly bizarre. They've raised so many eyebrows. The decisions to let certain players go and bring other players in, it's just torn apart what was a very solid mid-table outfit looking upwards, and it's got them staring the National League in the face. I really feel for the fans. It's been a horrific season, and it's not going to be a comfortable end to it at all. Crawley Town in deep trouble as it stands. It's not all doom and gloom down the bottom of the league though, and that is because Hartlepool United are now out of the relegation zone. They are still yet to lose under John Askey. This knack they've got for getting goals to either bring them back level or flip the game on its head, it's just unbelievable. It really is incredible. Easter weekend for Pauls saw them get an outstanding 4-1 win at Grimsby Town on Good Friday, and then they get a comeback 1-1 draw on Easter Monday against Stevenage. Dan Kemp is the name on everyone's lips right now. He got a hat-trick in that 4-1 win. He got the assist for Nicky Featherston's equaliser on Monday, very early into the second half. He's got 9 goals and 2 assists in 13 appearances since he joined in January. It is an incredible return from a player who's just never had a half season like this before. It's such a beautiful fit, him and this Askey Pools team. Josh O'Meara back in the goals on Friday, the other one the 4-1 win. Club stalwart Nicky Featherston, the goal scorer on Monday. Hartlepool, it's like I've said before, they've got goals in this team. There is some actual quality in this side. They do have the capability to get points. They really should, I think, be believing that survival is possible now. I mean, you look ahead to the coming fixtures and everyone will point to the 22nd of April, Hartlepool United against Crawley Town. There can surely only be one side that's actually looking forward to that game as it stands. Hartlepool are full of confidence, and I cannot believe their knack to just picking up points. It almost feels at the minute that if Hartlepool are losing at the end of the game, you still believe they're going to get something out of it. It really is an incredible turnaround at the end of this season. Final 2 teams still in this relegation conversation. They both had unbeaten Easter weekends. Harrogate Town are 21st. They've got 41 points from 40 games. They were the 2-2 comeback specialists over Easter. Good Friday's 2-2 with AFC Wimbledon was really dramatic. Wimbledon were 2 ahead heading into the final minutes, and there's goals in the 89th minute from Luke Armstrong and the 97th minute from Levi Sutton sparking great scenes in that home dugout at Weatherby Road. You can find an angle of that on Harrogate's Town own Twitter account where they show the dugout as the goal goes in. It is a great sight. Easter Monday, Harrogate away at the league leaders Leyton Orient, 2-0 down at half-time. Quick-fire second-half double from Anthony O'Connor and George Thompson, grabbing what is just another valuable point in the hunt of survival. They've just got to keep ticking the results over in the final games, and it does feel like Harrogate are capable of doing that compared to others down there. Colchester United, they sit 20th. They've got 42 from 41. Good Friday was a 1-1 draw at Stevenage, a fourth consecutive draw for them. Easter Monday, though, is the reason Col U have got some breathing space between themselves and the relegation zone. It's a 4-0 thumping of Crewe Alexandra down in Essex. That was a real eyebrow raiser when that came through. It's a brace to John Akinde, further goals from Noah Chilvers and Samson Tavid. What a way to get Ben Garner's first win as Colchester United manager, and what a time to get it with the struggles they've been having. Salford City away, Crawley Town away, Sutton United at home, Doncaster Rovers away, and Mansfield Town at home to wrap up the Col U season. Here's hoping they can have that alongside a nice Young Player of the Season award for Junior Chamadeu, who is one of the nominees for League Two's Young Player of the Season, alongside Jaden Sweeney of Leyton Orient and Jacob Wakeling at Swindon Town. I fully think Chamadeu's deserving of that. He's been excellent all season long. Played a lot of minutes at right wing back for a Colchester United side who hopefully can survive by the time the season is up. That is going to wrap up this episode of D3D4 Football, a run through of all those up at the top and bottom of League 1 and League 2. Thank you very much to those of you who stuck through to the end. This isn't really what I want to do, just have me talking solo on these, but we've had to make an exception this week to cover the busy Easter period. Rest assured though, we will be back to normal from this weekend, with a lot more voices than just mine around to talk about these brilliant leagues as the final few games approach at breakneck speed and the playoffs are right on the horizon. Join us again for more from the world's best third and fourth tiers. We'll see you then. Goodbye.